Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to be talking today about the Rams training camp. We're going to talk about projected, training camp battles and guys, to look out for. Before we get into it, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for all your Rams content, as well as other content. Also, you can like this video. That helps a lot. And drop a comment. Let's discuss. But let's get right into it. We're going to start on the offensive side of the ball, and then I'm going to do a separate defensive type of video, but we're gonna start off quarterback and just all the way down. And obviously, guys like Matthew Stafford and John Wolford are pretty set in stone. Matthew Stafford is going to take over as the starter from Jared Goff last season, and John Wolford will be the backup. So if there is a quarterback three competition, which I imagine there is, I think there's a chance they keep three quarterbacks. Potentially the third quarterback ends up on the practice squad, and maybe even with everything going on and just last year with COVID, if they expand the practice squad to 16, like I think they could, and what I've heard that they could, then you could see all four quarterbacks making it. So the way I see it is Devlin Hodges has started, 8 games in his career, going back to Pittsburgh. He's somebody that, can work off schedule. He can, make a few throws. I mean, he can't make every throw. He doesn't have a cannon, so to speak, but he can make quite a few throws, is required of him in the NFL. Whereas you have Bryce Perkins, who's an incredible athlete, not just a guy that can work off script, but he's the guy that can transform a game if they, you get him out and he can run. And what he was able to do at Virginia versus what Devlin Hodges was able to do at Samford, I think both are impressive, but, Bryce Perkins definitely changed the culture at Virginia, brought them back. And I think with Bryce Perkins, he offers more upside because of his, first off, his deep throw, his throwing accuracy deep down the field. Was impressive on tape. He came in as a top 10 quarterback on my board out of his respected draft. And to be honest with you, so did Devlin Hodges out of Samford. Now, I think the Rams are going to be more interested in who can help them in, key situations, certain packages. And that question will be answered with Bryce Perkins. He is somebody that you can bring in. I've heard, rumors about him being used like, Taysom Hill. If that's the case, then Bryce Perkins probably has the quarterback 3 spot pretty well wrapped up. So for a quarterback, Bryce Perkins versus Devlin Hodges, QB3, that's your battle. Moving on to running back, Cam Akers is pretty much solidified as the number 1 back. Darrell Henderson, number 2, although not truly a true backup. I think he's going to have more than just a backup role. Next, I think Xavier Jones is a lock for running back 3. So what competition's here? Oh, running back 4. And you got 3 guys. You have Raymond Calais, a former 7th round pick by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You have Jake Funk, 7th round pick by the Rams this past year. And Otis Anderson from UCF, who is intriguing, offers a little bit more upside as far as a returner than Jake Funk, as does Raymond Calais. But I think Jake Funk is the better special teamer as far as a guy that can be a gunner and can tackle in space. That is going to be between, for the running back 4 spot, Raymond Calais, Jake Funk, and Otis Anderson. Like I mentioned earlier, Bryce Perkins won the quarterback battle. I think it's going to be Jake Funk out of these 3. Who would I choose? I would probably go with Otis Anderson or Raymond Calais, but I think they drafted Jake Funk entirely because they felt really good at running back and they wanted to get a guy to help in special teams. I don't know if you'll really ever see him carrying the football. Could be very similar to Chase Reynolds, the guy that stayed around the Rams for quite a while because of his ability on special teams. And then, of course, when he got an opportunity in preseason, he blew up, but he never saw that translated to the NFL regular season. That's kind of what I see out of Jake Funk. Moving on to the wide receivers. Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, 1, 2, whatever you want to call it, 1, 1. They're good. You could argue Van Jefferson is in a battle against Deshaun Jackson, in which I think Van Jefferson wins that, but you could argue that's the case. And if that's the case, I do think Van Jefferson wins that. I think Deshaun Jackson is going to be more situational. I think he's going to stretch the field and help everyone else on the offense. But then since you have, the 4 wide receivers picked up, next I think is Tutu Atwell, who might honestly be in that wide receiver 4 conversation with Deshaun Jackson. We will see. But wide receiver 5 and 6 is Ben Skoranek and Tutu Atwell. I think also you have to include a guy like Tristan Jackson, who spent his entire season last year on the 53-man roster, albeit he really was a healthy scratch every single week. He still was on that 53-man roster, so he would be competing, as well as last year's return man, Simba Webster. There's other guys like J.J. Koski, who spent time on the practice squad, Jeremiah Haydell, who can help as the returner, and Landon Akers, who is a solid athlete. But all in all, I think it's going to come down to Skoranek, Tristan Jackson, and Tutu Atwell fighting for the 5 and 6 spot. If they keep 7, expect Tristan Jackson to be the guy. But if they keep 6, expect it going to be Ben Skoranek and Tutu Atwell. I would expect Atwell to be the 5th, and I expect Ben Skoranek to be the 6th. Then looking at offensive line, you don't really have much of a competition at left tackle. Andrew Whitworth obviously is likely in his last year, and he's still one of the best left tackles in football. Rob Havenstein, they didn't trade him. They kept him. He's pretty good to go at right tackle. And then Austin Corbett at center is a guarantee. So you have those 3 are locked. But the left guard position and the right guard position, I don't think are necessarily locks. You have David Edwards at left guard, and you have Bobby Evans at right guard. You have guys like Joseph Noteboom, have played guard in the past. You have Jamil Demby, probably not in this competition, but figured I'd mention him anyway. You have Coleman Shelton, again, probably not in the competition, figured I'd mention him anyway. Tremaine Ankrum and Chandler Brewer. Don't count out Chandler Brewer, and do not count out guys like Tremaine Ankrum and Joseph Noteboom. All in all, I think the Rams are going to roll with the 5 that they're rolling with right now. But if anything goes wrong, they have Tremaine Ankrum who can play all 5 positions. Joseph Noteboom has played guard in the past. And on top of that, Chandler Brewer's a guy that Sean McVay has mentioned by name, the UDFA last year that didn't get an opportunity due to the fact he had to opt out due to high risk of COVID. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, the backup guard position, all 3 of those guys would probably be competing for that spot. But right now, I think the 5 are good to go. 3 out of the 5 are locks. Those 2 guards, they're not necessarily locks, but I think that's what they'll ultimately roll with going into the year. And to wrap this thing up, the tight ends. First off, Tyler Higbee's the starter. Unless they trade him or something wacky happens, Higbee's the guy. But number 2 is not a guarantee. You have Bryson Hopkins, last year's 4th-round pick, number 1 tight end in the draft for me and for the Rams. It's uncertain what that means for him. They have Johnny Munt, who they brought back on a 1-year deal, a guy that has really been their blocking tight end, but showed, some flashes here and there when he got an opportunity to, make some catches. And then on top of that, you have Jacob Harris and Kendall Blanton. Tyler Higbee is the guy. And then tight end 2 is a giant competition, in my opinion, between Johnny Munt, a veteran blocking tight end who has shown promise in the past and honestly had the athletic ability to be a 3rd, 4th round pick out of Oregon before he tore his ACL twice. Jacob Harris, the 4th round pick this year, who is a former wide receiver they're turning into a tight end, has already taken first team snaps early on in OTAs. We will see what he does there. Bryson Hopkins, former 4th round pick, who spent all last year on the team, but never really getting an opportunity and mainly just a healthy scratch. And then Kendall Blanton, a guy that spent all of last year on the practice squad out of Mizzou, a guy that, made some noise in the 2019 preseason, caught, a touchdown and had some good chemistry with John Wolford. But all in all, he's kind of a long shot to not only make the roster, but definitely a long shot at tight end too. So that's really the competition there. After that, tight end 3 would probably, if you're looking at Munt at 2, tight end 3 is going to be Harris and, Hopkins. I think they keep 4. I don't think Hopkins is out, but, we will see. But hey, that's going to do it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed. Again, if you have any sort of, questions, comments, concerns, drop them below. Happy to answer them. But I just figured I would do a quick overview of the offense. I'll do a quick overview of the defense, just different position battles, because right now, this is a Super Bowl caliber team. This is a team I have winning the Super Bowl. So there's not going to be a ton of options here as far as starters, competing to keep their job. But the depth is very interesting on the offensive side. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and you guys take care.